Glory be to Jesus Christ. Thank you all for coming today and celebrating the life of Father Wolodymyr Iwaszko and his contributions to the Ukrainian Canadian community. My name is Anna, and we are your MCs for this event. Both of us are university students and parishioners at St. George's School.
Everyone here, welcome. We also extend a very warm welcome to everyone out of province. We have some founding members of Father Iwaszko here today. We have Roman and Wolodymyr Iwaszko, both of whom are nephews of Father Iwaszko. Give us a look, wave.
Pane Oreste, Pane Yuri Fadek, he was away.
There they are.
Good, thank you.
And we also have some representatives of Plast. We have Bogdan Kołosz, Olena Sola, here.
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Not yet.
And Senya Marina. There she is. Okay. We'd also like to announce that the Ukrainian Museum and the Sisters of St. Joseph's Shrine are open today until 3 o'clock if anyone wants to visit.
We would now ask Pan William Luca to lead us in the opening prayer and blessing of the food.
Proszę wstać, idziemy do strony. Ojcowi Syna Świętego Ducha. W imię Ojca i Syna Świętego Ducha. Amen. Ojcze nasz, któryś na niebiesach, niechaj świętycia imię Twoje, niechaj przyjdzie carstwo Twoje, niechaj bude wola Twoja, jak na nebi, tak i na ziemi. Chleb nasz nasłuszny daj nam sьогодні, i прости нам провини наші, як і ми прощаємо винуватцям нашим. І не веди нас у спокусу, але визволи нас від лукавого. Слава Отцю і Сину і Святому Духові, і нині і повсякчас і на віки вічні. Амінь. Господи помилуй, Господи помилуй, Господи помилуй, Отче благослови.
Christe Lord, благослови Єду і Тетя рабам Твоїм, and bless all those who are here to make it for us, and bless all of us who love and want to learn more about Father Iwaszko. Amen.
Okay, we are going to continue with our program now. Can I just have everybody's attention? Awesome. We're going to continue with our program now. First off, let's have a round of applause for all the kitchen staff that prepared that amazing food. Soon you will have the opportunity to watch the video created by Plast from Sambir, to listen to the representative from National Plast Canada, and be acquainted with the newly published book about Father Wolodymyr Iwaszko. We will also have an open mic for those who want. We'll have an opportunity to say something. We now invite you to watch the video created by Plast in Sambir.
Ми стоїмо біля одного з особливих місць міста Самбора.
Here we are standing near one of the special places of the city of Sambir. Here we see a memorial plaque to Father Wolodymyr Iwaszko, who served in Sambir from 1934 to 44 and is known as an outstanding guardian of youth, a spiritual mentor of the younger generation who made a huge contribution to the history and education of the younger generation of Sambir.
В історії і у вихованні підростаючого покоління Самбора.
В 30-ті роки сюди до Самбора на служіння до цього храму прибуває отець.
In the 1930s, Father Iwaszko came here to serve in this church. He worked hard for the cultivation of youth leadership. He was the head of Plast and was a champion and a mentor of the youth here, as well as of many youth organizations in Sambir. Another interesting fact about Father Iwaszko, to show how he loved children. We are here on the porch of the parish house where Father Wolodymyr lived. One day the German column was passing it with captive Jews. There is a documented fact that the priest who lived in this house saved the life of the infant, and there is almost 100% probability that the priest was Father Iwaszko.
Є майже 100% ймовірність того, що це був цим священником був отець Володимир Івашко.
During the German occupation of 1941 to 44, Plast continued its activity in all educational institutions in Sambir. The main center was the Teachers' Seminary, and now it is the Sambir Gymnasium. Father Wolodymyr Iwaszko was the main mentor of Plast in Sambir. He saw the strong future of Ukraine in the youth and paid great attention to their education. Father knew how to captivate young people with good deeds, ignited them with his positive energy and optimism, and cared about religious and patriotic education. It is symbolic that Father Iwaszko developed Plast during the horrors of the Second World War, and now Ukraine is resisting the Katsapa Russian invasion, and the Plastuniers continue their activities, taking care of the future of a free and independent Ukraine in the conditions of a new stage of the struggle for independence. Father Iwaszko's words, with which he addressed the Sambir Plastuniers in the 1990s, are of great importance now. God and Ukraine above all else. Let it be your motto. May God protect you. Skob.
Слава Україні!
Father Iwaszko was popular not only as an educator of the youth of Sambir, but also as an athlete who spent a lot of time at this stadium, together with boys and girls. He also traveled a lot. We are standing next to the home of Plast in the city of Sambir, where we have been nurturing the traditions of Ukrainian Plast for over 110 years. We see a memorial plaque of our first branch president of Sambir, Lyubov Toporovich. Our building is named after her. Lyubov Toporovich was the first branch president of the renewed Plast in Sambir. For 30 years, Sambir Plastuniers have continued Plast scouting sparked by Wolodymyr Iwaszko, and have been actively engaged in educational service. This is the flag of Alexander Tusovsk, Troop 61. There are two relics on it. The first of them is a Plast fleur-de-lis, lilica, which is given to us by Father Iwaszko. It is now on the flag, and the Tusovci ribbon that was given to us by the Plast Sambir from Canada. I will tell you about the sources where you can find out about the life and patriotic path of Father Wolodymyr Iwaszko, and in which publications he described his life. The most important resource to Sambir Plast Sambir is the typescript given to them by Father's relatives titled Vignettes from My Life. This is an extremely valuable resource that we keep in our Sambir Plast branch. By the way, the newest book published about Father Iwaszko, titled From Sambir to Saskatoon, also contains these vignettes by Father Iwaszko. They are included in the content of this beautifully published and very informative illustrated book.
Чудово виданої і дуже багато інформаційної і ілюстрованої книги.
Father Iwaszko is also mentioned in the book 50 Years Have Passed. This is a book published by the Sambir Plastun seminarians of the Teachers Seminary. And here they talked about the years of their studies in 1941 to 44. There are many photos and significantly interesting text about Father Iwaszko as the mentor of Plast and about Plastun Oles Berezhnitsky and many others. Also, another valuable thing is the book titled Ukrainian Park of St. Wolodymyr. This is the first edition. It was republished at the time of independence in Sambir, but this edition was prepared by Father Wolodymyr. There he tells about his Plast journey in Canada, while Plast was forbidden in Ukraine. Plastovy Shlях magazine also has interesting materials that describe the life of Father Wolodymyr, and also illustrate his Plast spiritual and patriotic service in Sambir in Ukraine, as well as outside Ukraine when he was already in the diaspora.
Okay, we would like to now invite Panakhyda, the President of Plast Canada from 2016 to 2020, to speak on behalf of National Plast Canada.
Дякую. Я скажу вам правду, я вчора виписав точно, що я хотів сказати, на папері написав, і тоді вийшло так, що треба було спішитися дуже. І я не мав нагоди сказати, може, деякі ті речі, які я думаю, що будуть важливі для всіх. Якщо хтось не розуміє щось по-українськи, I can say it in Ukrainian, or I can say it in English. So if at any moment you want to say, hey, slow down there, Bogdan. I don't like being Pan Bogdan. I don't feel like I'm a mister. In any case, I just wanted to add a little bit to what was said yesterday. I do have a connection to Sambir as well. I have an aunt. Actually, she's passed away already. I have an aunt that lived in Sambir. She was, like my parents were, they were from Lemkushchina, Lamkin, and they had a choice. They didn't have much of a choice at one point. It was between, you can go either deeper into Poland, or you could go back to Ukraine. And so part of the family went up to the North Sea, I guess it is, and the rest went into the Samboru. So я мав тету, яка жила в Самборі, я там її відвідував, але я не знав, що там є пласт. І то було досить цікаво для мене. Але пластуни, я думаю, що пластуни тепер в Україні, що пласт роблять. Я тільки, не що я хочу що-небудь сказати, знаєте, що хтось є кращий чи гірший, але тільки, знаєте, що відбувається. Пластуни приготовляють ті containers, food packages, standardized, they're all standard, the same amount of food, it's supposed to be so many calories per box, so that one person can live for 4 weeks, 1 month. Or you can split it up, nice, whatever way you want. The plastuniers are the contacts with the Canada-Ukraine Foundation. I'm throwing in commercials, right? The Canada-Ukraine Foundation makes the packages, and then they distribute it by going to Plast in Lviv, and they say that the plastuniers в Lviv, вони беруть ті речі, and they have a shipment can be like 1,000. І може ви досі не знаєте про його роботу, але знаєте, робимо скільки можемо. Я дякую вам за увагу, дякую, що ви мене вислухали. І якщо дуже хтось хоче ще з історії чути, я тут буду ще трошки, якщо мені дозволить пані Вікторія.
Wolodymyr Iwaszko to read an email from Marussia Klassen.
Добрий день. Слава Ісусу Христу. Слава Україні. I've been requested to read a letter from my cousin, Wolodymyr Iwaszko, who extends her regrets that she's not here. Greetings from Thunder Bay, Ontario. It is with deep regret that I am unable to be with you in person to celebrate this historical event and tribute to Father Wolodymyr Iwaszko, but I do so from a distance and in spirit. I fondly remember my uncle, Father Iwaszko, as someone who spent his life as a humble, caring, and faithful servant, one who was committed to his church, Ukrainian community, his heritage, and his family. As a true leader and significant figure, Father Iwaszko dedicated his life to his vocation and working for the betterment of society. His legacy attests to the significant contributions he made during his life, and we remember him today in gratitude and with deep respect. From the time that I was a young child, I fondly remember my uncle as a larger-than-life figure. That's something I can ditto. I saw him that way too, larger-than-life figure. One that supported us as a family at a time when my brother Bogdan and I, growing up in Prince Albert, were blessed with his involvement in our personal lives. Due to unfortunate circumstances, we were temporarily left orphaned, and it was at this time that our kind and caring uncle took time from his busy parish work to attend to our safety and well-being. I'm grateful to him for the positive influence he was in my future choices in adult life and the subsequent path that took me to where I am today. So I join you in celebrating the life of Father Iwaszko. He will continue to live in the hearts of everyone who knew him. I applaud the planning committee and the many volunteers who dedicated their time to the success of the weekend activities. I look forward to receiving photos from this historic event. God bless you all. Sincerely, Wolodymyr Iwaszko, July 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Yuri. We would now like to invite Viktoriia Marko to present the newly published book From Sambir to Saskatoon, The Legacy of Father Iwaszko for Young People.
Слава Ісусу Христу! Вчора я презентувала книжку і не знаю, що маю сьогодні говорити, але я лише хочу сказати, я буду розмовляти українською. Я зрозуміла в своєму житті, що не результат оцінюється, а процес до того результату. Тому це була для мене така особлива мандрівка пізнання, любові, служіння, яка привела ось до цього. І, знаєте, десь там думалося про результат, але насолоджувалося процесом. І від цього я отримувала дуже шалене задоволення. І знаєте, що вам може виглядати так, що ніби багато зроблено, але я відчула, що я багато отримала. Дуже багато отримала, більше, ніж я віддала. Тому що, будучи емігранткою тут, мені багато речей бракувало. Передусім мені бракувало спільноти. Такої спільноти, якої я мала там в Україні. А це вимірюється часом. Це вимірюється стосунками. І тут цей процес написання цієї книги мене привів до багатьох людей. Мене з'єднав зі спільнотою, справжньою спільнотою. Спільнотою церкви, спільнотою отця Івашка, спільнотою людей, які віддані Україні, які віддані Канаді, які люблять свою церкву. Я побудувала зв'язки з дуже багатьма людьми, і для мене простір відкрився тут в Канаді. Зв'язки з родиною отця Івашка, зв'язки з Пластом, з яким я не була практично тісно з'єднана в Україні, бо я не є пластунка, але знову ж таки моя молодь, якою я займалася і з якою ми були разом в церкві, багато з них з Пласту. І я саме від них чула про Пласт, саме від молоді. І так Господь провадив, що допровадив мене ось тут, і я зараз стою і говорю про Пласт. І ніколи не подумала би, що ця книжка, коли я 6 років назад приїхала сюди, що я буду тримати ось цю книгу в руці. Тому я дійсно дякую Богові за цю мандрівку, чудесну, захопливу, з викликами, але наповнену любов'ю, справжніми стосунками. Дякую Богові за це. І я дякую всім, хто вніс свій вклад у цей результат. І я бачу в цьому Божий палець, його мудрість і присутність отця Івашка. А також вчора українців не було, коли я їм дякувала. Десь вони втекли і не хотіли мене слухати на англійській мові. То я хотіла вам подякувати за те, що ці книжки доставлені тут. Що інші мають змогу взяти їх, почитати і пізнати. Бо не знаю, чи всі знають, що шипінг дуже дорогий. І саме завдяки українцям, які сюди приїхали, ці книжки доставлені тут. Я сподіваюся, ми будемо мати скоро ще більше тут книжок. Ось, дякую вам за це. І зараз, я вже все закінчила, хіба якщо маєте якісь запитання. Але я би також хотіла надати слово пані Ксенії. Пані Ксенію. Пані Ксенія, вона одна з тих людей, які вклали надзвичайний внесок у це видання. І я би хотіла дати вам слово.
Вона мене попросила щойно тут про це сказати пару слів, так що я думала, що я могла би додати до всього, що тут було. Перше трохи про мене особисто. Я приїхала з Едмонтону, я в Едмонтоні в Альберті виростала, але я також жила в Торонті і там запізналася з Богданом. Якщо ви бачили на цьому фільмі, там був пластовий журнал, пластовий шлях, and on the cover of that journal was a group of young scouts. And in the middle of them, if you might have noticed very quickly, it was Lagertha. If you watched the TV series Vikings, the character Lagertha was played by Catherine Winnick, and she was a plastunka from Toronto. And I was her Plast counselor, scout leader. So that's one connection that I have to Bogdan, to Plast. And another one is that my grandmother was a plastunka in Sambir. So she had a group of girls there, a troop of girls. I would also like to say that prior to this book project, I was involved in the publication of a fully English edition and a fully Ukrainian edition of a Plast history. And you have examples of the book were up on the table just here today. And the work that I did in helping to produce the English version of that Plast history, I heard it reflected in the dubbing of the film, because they were using the same terminology for all the scouting terms. So I was very pleased to see that. The англійський переклад, дубляж до цього фільму дуже добрий, дуже якісний. So, back to this book and my involvement. I would just like to mention, I went back through our email correspondence, and the first email I got from Bogdan was a year ago exactly, last July. Would you like to be involved? Would you like to read through 2 or 3 pages of this book about Plast? And that's how it started. I said, sure, I'll have a look. And then Pani Viktoriia sent me everything, and I had a good look at it. And I said, well, it needs a little bit, I could do a bit more. And then, so from July until October, this is an email from October. Мушу сказати, я дуже сильно вражена цими спогадами. Отець Івашко представляється як свята людина, енергійна, добра, зразкова. Я направду не знала, скільки на українську молодь в Саскачевані вплинула його діяльність в Пласті. Це прекрасно. І дуже велика в тому ваша заслуга, I'm talking to Viktoriia, що ці спогади зібрали і потрудилися видати в двомовній книжці. So that was October 5th. I would also like to repeat, I'm not sure her name is even mentioned in the book. Не знаю, чи згадується в книжці, що вона переклала, перекладач спогадів отця Івашка, так? Irina Ivankovich, a very big piece of work was her translation into English of Father Iwaszko's own memoirs. And then just a personal note, Viktoriia wrote back to me. Я лише сьогодні мала змогу заглянути у ваші правки. Були шалені дні для мене. Хочу сказати, я під величезним враженням щодо вашої праці і масштабу роботи, яку ви зробили. Це надзвичайно вагомий і великий вклад. Дякую вам за це. Мене дуже тішить і підтримує на дусі таке професійне ставлення до цього проєкту. Я дуже вдячна пану Богдану також. Підтримка багатьох людей надихає і ще раз вказує на те, що цей проєкт є важливим. So that's Viktoriia writing to me on October 22nd, and then my reply to her. Дорога пані Вікторія, немає кращої нагороди для редактора, як розуміння та визнання вартості її роботи. Я вдячна, що ви своїми позитивними враженнями зі мною поділилися. So, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to work on this project. The result is absolutely beautiful. Too often, people put out things that look very pretty, but you read the text and it's disappointing. This happens in films also. You see films that look beautiful, nice music, costumes, but the dialogue leaves something to be desired. So as a person dedicated to text, and I always like to say, спочатку було слово, і слово було Бог. That it's a really very, very beautiful project, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to participate. Дякую.
If anyone would like to come up and say some words, the floor is now yours. We just ask you to please limit yourselves to 2 minutes each, please.
I wanted to add to what Bohdan Kolos had said about Plast. I should note that Bohdan Kolos and I have known each other. I don't know, were we teens before, when we met, or was it before that? It was a long time ago. You know, as far as, and I'm kind of addressing this to the younger generation and those who are new to Canada. You know, in terms of planting roots here, in terms of planting roots in such a way that you remain connected to the Ukrainian community and you put it into concrete, you know, you need to establish relationships with people from the community. As someone who grew up here, the two organizations that I would say had the greatest impact in terms of my upbringing and my subsequent social relational life of Plast, where I established a network of friends across the country and internationally, because we have the Міжнародні пластові зустрічі, where in North America they often included just the Americans and the Canadians, but you can also establish contacts with plastuni in Europe and now in Ukraine. And this organization gave me contacts across Canada and internationally. The other organization I wanted to mention is Союз Українського студентства Канади, the Ukrainian Canadian Students Union, SUSK. There's a branch of the Ukrainian Students Club at virtually every university in Canada, west of Montreal, where Ukrainians settle. And these clubs belong to a center, Союз Українського студентства Канади, which is another forum in which I established lifelong connections. For example, when I discovered how much it cost to fly to Saskatoon from Toronto, I decided to fly to Edmonton, because it was cheaper, although it's further. And while I was in Edmonton, I was only there for a couple of days. I saw my friend Petro Medlinsky, Susk, and Plast, Olenka Bilash from Susk, etc. And it's these kinds of connections that you can establish through the Students' Union. And I really encourage you, and some of you are young enough that you might go back to university, so find the Ukrainian Students' Club and join and participate. I'll say one last thing about Susk. I know I'm limiting myself to 10 minutes. The last thing I wanted to say is that this isn't just a social club, okay? It was around 1970 that the Canadian government under Trudeau I established a commission called the Bilingualism and Biculturalism Commission. We called it the BIBI Commission. That was the 60s. And the proposition was that Canada is a bicultural and bilingual country, French, English. The Ukrainian community and Sursk stood up opposed to this because Canada is in fact a multicultural country. And this was the genesis of multiculturalism. And Sursk played a very, very big role in this step. So, here's an opportunity to actually involve yourself in political action and social action on a Ukrainian basis. So, this is what I wanted to share. Welcome.
Зближається до кінця, але я хочу скоро сказати. Цікаво було, що отець Івашко мав великий вплив не тільки на мене, але й багатьох тут, що сидять перед вами нині. Ті, що не знали його особисто, багато б скористалися з тої нагоди. І одно, що мені лишається на думці, жаль, що так можу. One of the things that I found really intriguing was Otec Iwaszko's ability to connect with each and every person. Didn't matter who you were, didn't matter what level, from the oldest senior to the youngest child, from people who had been born here in the third and fourth generation even at his time, to the people that had just arrived from Ukraine. And he had a manner of connecting and tying everybody together, making everybody feel at home. And here we are celebrating Otec Iwaszko, and he's still doing the same thing. He brought us all together. He's connected and touched with each and every one of us in our own little special way.
Program here, I'd like to take a moment and once again thank everyone who made this event happen. Big thank you to the planning committee of this event, St. George's Cathedral for hosting, and UCWLC of St. George's for the amazing brunch once again. And we want to say one last thank you to the Plastuni and relatives of Father Iwaszko, and to everyone else who attended. So, Jackie.
I'd also just like to remind that the Ukrainian Museum and the Sisters of St. Joseph's Shrine are open until 3 o'clock for anyone who would like to visit. We also would like to ask you to share the photos and videos taken from this event on our Facebook group called From Sambir to Saskatoon, Від Самбора до Saskatoona, or send them to Viktoriia Marko.
And for our closing prayer, we invite Father Ivan Nauchevsky to lead us.
The closing prayer is going to be this Wolodymyr. If you have those booklets, the booklets, page 22. Des hoda rodini demerit teshena, szczęśliwi tam ludzie, a żena storona, ich Bóg błogosławia. Dobro im В ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. В ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. В ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа. Амінь. Слава Ісусу Христу!
Слава!
Glory be to Jesus Christ!
Glory be to God.